Downtown, uptown, and all around town. This is the Scott Miller Show.
AM 1230 WJBC. Scott Miller Show on your radio. Hanging out for a Tuesday morning. It's February 23rd. Bloomington City Manager Tim Gleason joins us after every city council meeting, and, well, he'll do the same right now. I'd like to welcome to the show the city manager of Bloomington, Mr. Tim Gleason. Tim, good morning.
How you doing, Scott?
Doing all. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Hey, a bunch of stuff I want to talk to you about. Let's start off with some good news here. Bloomington is set to save over $500,000 in bond financing. This is good news.
It is, Scott. It's something that not a lot of communities. I'll call two categories that fall into this bucket that I think staff should be responsible for keeping an eye on, and that is the market, the rates that are out there for the debt that the municipality has in the form of bonds. But also another category is development agreements, where you might have a 5, 10, 20-year agreement with these expectations of a developer. And a lot of times you put those on a shelf, and if you don't pay attention to them, you miss different steps on a development agreement that should have been completed. Or on the bond side, what we're talking about right now is what the market's providing. And then real quick, this was a relatively small dollar amount in terms of municipal debt, just shy of $4 million. And we are saving about $560,000 through this refinance, taking advantage of the market. Local bank Busey stepped up, and the interest rates were amazing.
I like when we save money, Tim.
Agree.
Last night, during public comment, a blogger made it on and took her 3 minutes to share her thoughts and opinions. And she says that a bad police officer was allowed to resign from the city of Bloomington, and that the city responded that it was a personnel matter. The blogger goes on to say that a lawsuit was filed and tax dollars paid for the legal fees for that lawsuit. And for the first time in a long time, the mayor responded during public comment. Normally, the city council and the mayor do not respond during public comment. People can call in and participate in public comment and say, I hate you, can say, I hate the city, can say you're doing everything wrong. They can also say, I think you guys are great. They could say, support the Girl Scouts. They could say, put in a bigger O'Neill pool, and you guys just sit and listen, and then you take the information and do with it as you please. If you feel it needs to be looked into further, the city council does so, maybe the mayor does so, maybe you, the city manager, does so. Well, last night, this local blogger was the only public comment and got a rise out of the mayor.
I know we're not normally supposed to respond, and I don't normally respond, but given the outrageous nonsense that we've just heard from probably one of the least credible mouths in the entire county, nobody's pushed anything under the rug from any of our police officers. That's not the case. That's not how we do things. This is how somebody who is vowed she never even wanted to live in Bloomington, hates Bloomington, creates garbage. So no, we're not putting up with stuff like this. Diane, you and the Edgar County Watchdog, are probably the two least credible media, they're not media outlets, you're just people talking out of a bodily orifice. It's not your mouth. Who in the world would listen to your garbage? Our police officers have done an appropriate job. The state's attorney's office has done an appropriate job, and we're moving forward with these things. And this kind of nonsense of you individuals who can criticize and have never, ever had to make a decision in your life that affected anybody else are really disgusting and sickening.
Tim, what's your response to the mayor's response?
Well, I guess thank you for making me listen to that again. No, I didn't expect that kind of response out of the mayor. I've worked in other communities where the back and forth of public comment, it's got to be painful for the community to listen to that. So here in Bloomington, when it's their practice that they don't respond, I welcome that, and very much think that's the way that it should be. But like you said, Scott, this was something that apparently got under the mayor's skin, and it was an unexpected response.
So this blogger who has come after me in the past, has come after Catherine Murphy in the past. Thank goodness she's left me alone, and she's focused on other things. She comments on things that happen in Bloomington and Normal and throughout the state here locally. And you know what? I support her and wish her well. If you want to keep an eye on local government and you want to find out information to make sure that nobody's lying or cheating or stealing, I don't think there's a problem with that at all. Now, if, time after time after time, I don't know. But if there's, just falsehoods being published or things like that, then there's another story there. But I'm just surprised that the mayor got so bothered by this. I mean, he's got harsh critics all over the town of Bloomington. Why is this one so touchy?
Well, I don't have a clue. And like you, Scott, Diane Benjamin and Hoover talking about it, public comment. I've had a lot of good conversations with her. I also appreciate, and I mean that, appreciate the fresh set of eyes, that's making sure that you're keeping government on the up and up. The one thing where a local municipality like us, where our hands are bound, we can't talk as freely. That's just the way it works in government at the local, state, or federal level. We try to be as transparent as we possibly can be because we know that that's good for the community. They have faith and trust in their local elected and, us as staff, me as city manager, and I stand on my credibility. That's all I've got at the end of the day as a community that's seen how I've performed for them 2.5 years. And I am not going to say something, that puts my integrity in jeopardy. It's just not going to happen. Now, in this specific case, we ended up releasing this information, what we could on a personnel matter, voluntarily. And then also, it might be a tough pill to swallow for some and may not completely understand, but you get to a point to where you're wanting to settle something, and to pay nothing at all might be what everybody wants to do or believes that's the position that a city should take. And I subscribe to that as well. But you also start thinking about what are the tax dollars that are going to be spent to defend something. And there was a couple of $1,000s that we also agreed to pay for the legal fees for the Edgar County watchdogs. And I feel that it was the right thing to do. But it was no admission of guilt or of wrongdoing. It's just one of those situations that we face in government that you have to make that decision. You cut your losses. You save as much taxpayer dollars, that you possibly can in a situation like this. The resignation of the officer, that's something. There was not an offer to resign. Amidst, all of this, the officer came to the police administration and tendered his resignation, and it ended. There's nothing more that we can do when an employee of city government of the city tenders their resignation. So it wasn't an either-or offer that was on the table. It was, I will say, an unexpected resignation.
All right. I appreciate it. Really quick, let's change the topic here. There was national news made in Texas last week that the power grid was damaged and it wasn't able to handle the surge, and the city of Austin shut the power off for days to its residents. Is there anything we can learn from this here locally so that something like that doesn't happen here? Of course, Illinois, we're used to cold weather, but emergencies happen. What we're seeing happening down in Texas is just god-awful. Are we prepared? Do we need to take steps? Do we need to look into opportunities to make sure things like that don't happen here?
Definitely, Scott. I've got a lot of colleagues and friends in Texas, as I know you do as well. And it's something that is concerning. And if it's not a power grid, what other things should you be exploring and considering that could happen to your community? And it was actually, I belong to a group, Naval Postgraduate School out in California, emergency managers, and we had a virtual conference last week, and that was definitely the topic posed exactly the way that you just asked it. The internal question has not occurred yet with staff or with, our regional partners, but it's definitely something that you have to take, I'm going to say, situations like this and turn them into opportunities where you explore what ifs, here at the local level. So it's a great question. It's definitely something that's already been discussed, but not here with the local partners, town, the county, ISU, and some of the other partners.
But we can expect moving forward, we may hear more about this over the weeks and months to come?
Yeah, I don't know that it becomes a public conversation, but it definitely becomes an internal, what if type of exercise, but can take this any direction you would like me to, if there's a follow-up sometime in the future.
All right, before I let you go here, a year or so ago, you and I had a conversation about, hey, can we just find a month in the city of Bloomington where we could waive parking tickets, and instead of people paying for a parking ticket, they would then give school supplies. If you got a parking ticket worth $20, $30, $40, $50, you'd have to go and get, $20 or $30, $40 worth of school supplies to donate. We could give it to less fortunate people. I just saw this article just popped up today. In Utah, a city is forgiving parking tickets with food donations. Over the past few weeks, police in Heber City, Utah, have doled out upwards of 300 parking tickets to those who have parked in the street despite a ban on doing so during snowstorms and immediately after. And that's when local police decided to squeeze some good out of the situation, setting up a drive that allows those who have received parking citations to wipe out their tickets by donating food. To get their tickets nixed, interested parties have to leave at least 5 non-perishable, non-expired items at various drop-off points around the city, including at the police department. Is this anything we could ever do, or is there anything that needs to be introduced to the city council that I could play a role in where we could get something like this to happen?
You actually did play a role. We were ready for this at the beginning of this school year, and I'll blame it on COVID. Don't like to, admit that COVID won on things, but that's exactly what occurred. And what we found is we have an agreement, contract, with a collection agency for past parking tickets. So that was the biggest hurdle over a year ago, trying to figure out how do we, get around the contract that we have in place. Well, we figured it out, and we were ready for school supplies, backpacks, that kind of stuff for last school year. And fully expect to be beyond COVID for this school year coming up, 21-22, that will start late summer, fall, and that's exactly what's going to occur, and you get the credit for that. But we just had to wait a year.
All right. I love it. I just want it to happen. I know that parking tickets, listen, they help the bottom line, but we could skip a month and take the, listen, you want to do your research and find the month out of the year that's got the least amount of tickets just to make somebody happy. The naysayers, fine, you could do that. But if we could find a way to waive some parking tickets and help kids that need backpacks and trapper keepers and pencils, I'm fully behind it. I support it 100%. So I look forward to that happening in the future.
Got a quickie for you, Scott, before we end. Last night we presented Accomplishments 2020, and it's going to be something that we'll post to the website. I'm going to do a community video. I do some of those every so often, and going to cite that. But really do recommend that the community take a look at that. I asked the deputy city manager to be the one to deliver that, and you talk about a home run. That's exactly what occurred last night. But we've accomplished a lot, and it's thanks to this community. It's thanks to our elected officials' vision, and really encourage everybody to take a look at that once we get it posted.
All right, we'll look forward to it. Bloomington City Manager Tim Gleason, thanks for your time this morning.
Take care.
It's AM 1230 WJBC.